From the very first day I stepped foot into a classroom at age 5, I knew I hated school. And I'm going to tell you why I hated school. And it may not be what you think. Now, in the United States and across countries across the globe, children age 4 or 5 are placed into education system, right? That's what they call it. You're there to be educated. Is that what they're really doing? Well, let me read this to you. This is the United States. In the United States, all states have compulsory education laws requiring children to attend school through the specific ages, though the specific ages vary by state. Generally, children must attend school from around age 6 to 16, but some states require attendance up to 18. These laws are in place to ensure all children have access to education. Now, there are exceptions. Exceptions to these rules are homeschooling, students with disabilities, and those who have met specific academic requirements. Enforcement. Here we go. States have mechanisms to enforce these laws, including potential penalties for parents or guardians who fail to ensure their children's school attendance. I'm going to have to pick these up one day. I mean, it's getting full up here with these wads of paper. They're everywhere. I'm going to tell you why I hated school. And if I were to walk in a classroom today, I would still hate school. Because this is what happens when you go to school. Now, kindergarten, I remember very clearly. I didn't mind that. Kindergarten's playtime. You get naps. You get the little cartons of milk. You take naps. We made butter. They'd put a big bunch of cream in a jar and we'd pass around. We made some butter. That was fun. Yeah, we learned to tie our shoes. We learned a lot of things. And then first grade hit. I don't remember anything about first grade. Do you? Think back. What do you remember about first grade? I kind of remember second grade, okay? We learned to read in the second grade. And I remember that because that is one thing that they can teach us that we put to use, that we can really, really use, is reading and writing. Now, I don't think it was so much writing as learning to read in the second grade, but I remember that feeling when I could actually look at words on a piece of paper and know what it said. No longer could my parents pass notes about me. Well, you know, I could read that stuff. And it's a cool thing when you're a kid and you learn how to read. I don't know how hard it is to teach a kid to read. I've never had to do it. I would imagine it could be difficult. But I think it's something that we all need to learn to do. You know, we just learn. It's there. And then we forget how we learned it and how easy or hard it was to learn because it comes naturally to us. Now, there are people who go through life that never learn to read or write. Doesn't make them stupid. Just somehow they got past the system. And that's what it is a system. And then third grade through sixth grade, all repetitive things. They're trying to basically teach you math, English. I apologize for the traffic. There's a fire down the road. A lot of fire trucks have went by, so we'll try to. These are just chicken trucks here. You should know better by now. Where was I? So third through, I would say sixth grade is repetitive. English, arithmetic. That's the basic things. And basically all we ever need to learn. Then you hit the high school, the junior high, 7th grade, 8th grade. I think it used to be 7th and 8th grade, maybe 9th grade. They used to be called junior highs. Now they're middle schools. I don't know what they do. It's been 45 years since I was even in a school building. And you learn things you don't really need in real life unless you're going to become a physicist or a rocket scientist. I don't need to know algebra, okay? If you told me to do an algebra problem right now, I wouldn't have a clue. I don't have a clue. I didn't care about it then. I certainly don't care about it now. I've never had to use it in the things I've done in life. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and occasionally division. I do know how to do those things. Those are all you really need, unless you're going on to a further profession, which I never did, okay? One of the reasons I hated school is because of this. I realized early on that it is nothing but what is the word for it, see? Maybe if I would have paid more attention in English, I would have the word. It is a social classification experiment, is what it is. You've got your cliques. Starting in high school, junior high, more traffic, you got your jocks. You got your nerds, you got your preppies, you got all these little groups. But you're supposed to find one of these groups and go belong to it, right? Well, I didn't like any of those groups. It wasn't that I didn't like any of the kids in the groups. I just didn't like the idea of being in a group. Being classified as this, or being called a preppy or a jock. Or what was the other one? Greaser. That's the movie, but we didn't call them greasers. You know, the hoods. The kids that smoke cigarettes. I was one of them guys. But I really wasn't one of them guys. I just smoked cigarettes. So I had to hang out with them guys. I guess I was one. Long hair, you know. Then where I went to school, we had the rednecks. Those were the kids with the cowboy hats and the boots. Yeah. Had a big old chew in their mouth. Yeah. You could smoke in school. When I went to school, they had an area called the smoke hole. Those guys would go out there, smoke their cigarettes, and the rednecks would go on the one side and chew their tobacco. They would. And it was great. And we had a teacher out there who would monitor the whole ordeal, and he smoked. And he was cool. That was my best class in school, was the smoke hole. It was right after lunch. Let me get another one. Beautiful sunset. It's going to be 84 degrees today. 84. That is unheard of, man. Dog's pooping. Oh, what was we talking about? Okay. I hated school. It bored me. It bored me. The things they teach you are so easy. It bored me, okay? So I started acting out. I was the class clown. I would be the guy. When they put the movie theater or the movie projector on, I would take a whole sheet of notebook paper and wad it up and chew it up, get it all nice and wet, and then I'd stand up and I'd go and hit the screen. And the kids would all go. They knew who did it. It was me. I had my own paddle with my name on it in the assistant principal's office. No lie. I was in there that much that he had my own paddle. Had my name on it, first and last name. Nobody else's butt got beat with that except mine. True story. I was a regular in the counselor's office, in the principal's office. You know, they had a system. What you did wasn't too bad, you go to the counselor. And if it was bad, you go to the assistant principal. And if it was bad enough, the assistant principal would grab your little butt by the ear and drag you to the principal's office. And you'd really be in trouble. That's when parents would be called. And I hated that. So I started skipping school. Started out skipping a class or two. And then and then suddenly just skip the whole day. And we'd go walk around. I'd always have a buddy that would skip with me. And we'd go walk around the neighborhoods, and we had this old burnout house that had a cellar. And we'd go down in that cellar, and I'd had a boombox, and we'd play some Mario Speedwagon down in that cellar. And it was fun. And it stunk in there, and it was moldy, but we didn't care. We weren't sitting in class getting indoctrinated. So I learned early on, school is, I think, to put you in classes of people to see where you belong. Okay? If you don't fit in one group, they're taking notes or something. If you don't fit in one group, you're going to fit in with another group. And guess what? I didn't fit in with any of those groups. I got along with all the kids that were from each of those groups. I still talk to a lot of them today. But I never joined a group, a clique. I could never be labeled. I hate being labeled, and that's one of the reasons I didn't know it at the time. This just came to me recently, why I hated school so much. That's one thing about getting older. We start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. We start to figure out why things are in life. And by the time we almost got it figured out, guess what? We're gone. I think it's designed that way. We're not supposed to know everything. I don't know what's burned. I don't see no smoke. There's nothing going. The one goes down the road and then he comes back, and then another one comes, and then I don't know. We have volunteer fire departments here, so it takes them a while. So there may not be a fire. These guys don't know it. I have no idea. Bear with me. Now, a lot of people are homeschooling their kids, and I think that's awesome. Because you think back 150 years ago, they had the one room, we had cities, but we didn't have the big cities with 50, 60 kids in a classroom like we do now. It was all the kids in one classroom. I don't think they went all day. They went for a few hours. They learned the basics. They were being taught by a child, generally a teenager, 15, 16, 18 years old, and it was always a single woman, or it would be an old grumpy man, a schoolmaster. These things never, oh, come on. Now, he just came, he went back, and now he turned around and come back. I don't know what's going on. Should I start over? Because I've just lost my whole train of thought. Okay. Well, whatever it is, I hope they're safe. I don't see smoke. It can't be a fire. It might be an auto, right? It could be a cow. 2 cows got in an accident. I don't know. Do I still have you here? So it wasn't I was stupid. I found myself to be, the subjects were easy. I did well in math. I did well in English. I did well in all those things. I just hated it. Because I knew that stuff, man. It teaches verbs, adverbs, nouns, pronouns. Do you really need to know a certain word is called this? No, you don't. Unless you're writing a book, you don't need to know what and now they're changing pronouns and all this. You don't need to know. Does it matter? I don't think so. Just teach me the word, tell me what it means, and I'm good. But they don't do that. You got to learn all this stuff, and pie. You got to learn about pie, and it ain't meringue pie. It's math. To make a long story short, I hated school so much. Now, I started working part-time jobs when I was young, very young, and I liked working. I felt good working. I ended up quitting school. I went through 8th grade. I failed. I failed because I started skipping school and I wasn't there. And I failed. And I had to repeat 8th grade, which I repeated the entire 8th grade. Made excellent grades because I already knew the stuff and it was easy. Okay. And I made sure I was there on test day so I could go to 9th grade. In 9th grade, I had enough. I made it through the entire year and I quit. And that was it. I quit. I never went back. Never looked back. Never regretted it. Now, fast forward a few years later till I was 21. I think I was 15, 16 years old when I quit school. Best thing I ever did in my life. Best thing. Because then I started working full time. Well, then I joined the Army. And I had an opportunity to go to Drill Sergeant Academy. Well, in order to become a sergeant, an NCO, you had to have at the time a high school diploma, which I did not have. So I went to Rose State College in Oklahoma City. I was living in Tulsa. I took a drive down there, walked in the office where they were giving the tests, and I told the lady I was there to get a GED. She says, okay, have you studied? And I said, no, I have not. She gave me this book about this thick. She says, take this home, come back in about 6 months, and we'll give you the test. I said, I ain't got 6 months. I need to take the test today. She says, well, you're going to fail it miserably if you have not studied. Now, mind you, I hadn't been in school in 6 years. Nothing. She says, okay, but if you fail it, you have to wait a whole year before you can take it again. So I thought for a minute, and I'm like, well, I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. If I don't take it, I can't get in the Drill Sergeant Academy. If I do take it and fail, well, I still can't get in. You know, I can't get in then. So I took the test. She said it's 4 sections. I guess I don't remember. I was going to bring that up because I have all the test scores, and I have the piece of paper which nobody has ever asked me for other than the military. She said there's 4 sections. The entire test will take at least 4 hours. I said, okay, no problem. I got my number 2 pencil. I found me a desk. I was all by myself, nobody else in there. Bing! She sets a timer. It was timed per section. I took the test, man. I whipped out all 4 of those in an hour and a half. And I went up there to hand it in. She thought I was handing in the first section. So no, it's all done. All done. Okay, go. She just give me a look like, he's going to fail. So I went into the other room, waited. She graded it. I had passed above the national average. Now, I didn't ace it, but I did way above the national average. Very good scores. They were like 92s and 94s. I mean, for not going to school for 6 years, I did very well. I had to take this piece of paper down to the state capitol. Go in an office there, and I got my little thing that said JED. Bubbling Crude, GED. Took that to the Army. Hey, went to Drill Sergeant Academy, just like that. Nobody has ever asked me for that piece of paper ever since, and I've been toting that thing around for 40 years. Almost 40 years, 38 years. It was 87 when I got that. Nobody's ever asked. Now, had I wanted to go to college, I would have probably needed that. But don't they have tests for that? I don't know. You could have one of them and it could be forged. Who knows? That would be an easy piece of paper to forge. I could show it to you, but I don't have it up here. So, but I hated school. I always felt that it was forced. And when you force kids to do something, when they are forced to do something, it's never a good thing. They're going to rebel. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. You put a group of 50 people in a room, there are going to be some that don't want to follow the rules. And I'm one of those kids. I don't like to follow somebody else's rules. I don't care how many years it's been put in place. I don't like it, especially if they're ignorant. I said enough already. Now, I will say this. There are wonderful teachers out there, and this isn't to slam them. They're doing their jobs. They have a lot to deal with. Kids today are way worse than anything we were. And I don't blame them. You know, they're I don't know, it's a whole different thing. I couldn't tell you. I haven't sat in a classroom in today. I've just heard how it is. And different states are different education system. You know, hey man, it's not easy to teach kids. And they don't have, and here's another thing. If a kid doesn't pay attention today and acts out, well, he's given prescription medication. Oh, he's got this, ADHD. He's got this, let's give him a pill. No, he's bored with the crap that you're teaching him. That's the problem. It ain't that he's stupid. It ain't that he has any kind of mental issue. He's bored with the garbage you're putting down his throat. That's probably it. We didn't have nobody on medication back in them days. And everybody turned out just fine. Some of them went to prison. Hey, you got 50 kids in a classroom. 1 or 2 of them are going to spend the rest of their life in prison. Another 5 is probably going to turn out to be trailer trash. You don't know. You may only have 5 successful people in that room of 50. That's just how life is. You know, as you know, I don't sugarcoat any of these subjects, guys. I'm just telling you like it is. This is my opinion and my experience, why I hated school. Because to me, it felt like all they try to do is teach us how to be complicit. They want to teach us from an early age. We have to listen to the authorities. We have to listen to our. It's training, okay? And I didn't buy it, and I still don't buy it. So let me know what you think in the comments. This is probably going to sound like a rambling, and I didn't exactly cover everything that I had in my mind to cover, but you get the point. Okay, we need to work on the education system. Homeschool your kids and teach them what they need to know, not what the government wants them to know, because they're trying to make us all sheep. And I don't like being a sheep. I like being the wolf. Happy trails.